It's Thursday night. Thursday night, things are working amazingly. Welcome to the Nexus. Yes, yes, yes. My favorite place to be too. Oh, we didn't get the slate. Here's a slate. Hey, if you don't know what you're watching, you didn't see it. This is us, and we're here every Thursday. We're here to talk Torah, all things Torah related, which is everything, my friends. Rosalie Jordan is with me. She is not on camera, but here all the same. How you doing, Rosalie? I think she was sending a cat on its way when we got here. Our old friend of the show, John, might stop by. Hi, John. If you're watching, hit that link button. Come on in. It's been a long time. Glad to have you here. A great Parsha, a great Torah portion this week. Yisro, one of my absolute favorites
Yay!
of the Torah. Yeah, and so we'll be looking at that. We've got memes, a meme of the week. We've got a lot of stuff to talk about.
Yay!
Um,
For
a
the
lot going on.
Christians in the crowd, have a good day tomorrow with your holiday.
Tomorrow. Oh, that's right, Valentine's Day.
Yep.
Yes, happy Valentine's Day to all those out there. Um, there's a lot going on in the news. We weren't here
Oh
last week.
boy.
I apologize. It was a work issue, and I couldn't get my phone in the short time I had to use it while at work to get a message out on Twitter to everybody. But we couldn't get in, so I apologize for missing last week. But yeah, the Donald Trump fascist guy. Remember they call him a fascist? Here's a good one right here.
Mhm.
That's just too good. He's
Yes, it is.
he's no fascist here. Well, the left is freaking out like I can't believe.
Oh, I can.
It's a little ridiculous at this point. It really is a little ridiculous at this
That's
point.
awesome. That's awesome.
And it's not just Democrats either. Because there's a lot of Republicans.
Yes.
I
The
think
rhinos
Trump.
in the crowd.
I think our president. I think President Trump has talked more to the American people in the first couple of weeks he's been in office than Joe Biden did in his entire presidency.
This is
So
true.
that says something. And he has a variety of things to talk about, unlike the other lady. What's her face? So
Kamala.
yeah, I'm glad all this is happening. We'll see how far it goes. We'll see what we're doing. What do you think about taking control of Gaza? Years ago, I was saying to Gav, we need to just make Israel the 51st state. And
I think it's hilarious. I think it's great. Gab posted earlier today too. He had one that said, "Statehood is not a given right." I'm going, yes.
True.
We got a better offer. We got a better offer, and we're going to close the deal.
I think it's interesting. I think it's interesting. We'll see how it goes, but just the idea that you could come in and make it a free and beautiful, prosperous place again, that would be nice. And everyone says Gaza's always been a curse, but that's time's over now.
Yeah, we played your game for a long time. We're done. We're done. Yeah, I got a big kick out of the one today with Trump and Putin and Zelensky. Zelensky said, "I'm not signing nothing until you all talk to me and include me in this." It's like, yeah, I think so. That was pretty good. I thought that was
Zelensky
pretty fun.
said that? Oh.
Yeah, because it's just been Putin and Trump talking. It's like he's sitting there, like third party. It's like, no, I'm not doing anything until we all sit down and talk about this. Which I don't blame him. I mean, that makes sense.
No, you can't blame him. He's supposed to be. He'll have to be there eventually.
Yes.
But we've spent a lot of money to keep Ukraine destroyed. So, he can wait. Trump said he never got to deal with Russia because of all because of the media, the extremes in the media and the Russian collusion, and every single thing was Russian collusion. And of course, half America just eats that kind of crap up, no matter how wrong it is. He never got to deal with them, and those are his words. And So maybe they can take care of a few things.
I was reading I read an article, was it yesterday, about radio station in San Diego, I think it was, gave away ICE information over the air. The cars and what the
Really?
people look like. Yeah, yeah, that did not go over well.
Yeah, there's a reason why the people in radio don't want me working there. I would not be so compliant.
Yeah, but you don't tell everybody what ICE looks like and what they're doing. I'm sorry.
Broadcasting is not what it was in this country. That makes me sick to my stomach hearing that.
Yeah, I
I mean,
know.
from a radio dork, used to work in it. That's depressing.
Yes, it is.
But that's the kind of people they want working there. That's why
That's
George
right.
Soros is trying to buy 200 radio stations. He already owns a few. Now he wants to buy 200 more. That's an average of 2 a state. And that, anyway. Can't believe they're giving ICE that information over the air.
Yeah. Blew their cover. Blew their cover.
Well, that's you got to get rid of that little leaker, that little mole. Because that ain't right.
You got that right.
The Jewish people. I've often said they are the last in the Hebrew Trinity. God, Torah, and the Jewish people. It really came in that order. For me, it was Kabbalah that first interested me or reinterested me in things biblical. So God and our place in the universe was the first thing I could accept and really go on. And then it became the Torah. And then I began to study with a rabbi and with other people. And then I came to the Jewish. Then I had to accept the Jewish people. It's a lot of the reasons why I didn't just go convert were self-worth issues. My first wife and I were considering converting. That woman's, yeah. Oh well. Pity the godless.
God bless the mother of your children, and move on.
Yeah. So yeah, she's blessed, all right.
All right, no Lashon Hara. Come on.
No, I'm not. I'm just anyway. So the I'm trying to be funny about it, not be not but anyway, that wasn't going to work. The big D came right after that. But I began to realize something many years ago, or a few years, well, several years ago. I don't know, 6, 7 years. But there is something inherently weird about the Jewish people. There's something that is not normal, and that's not an insult. I'm not saying this is an insult. There's something incredibly special about them. And it's not necessarily them, it's their God. It's the Torah. It's doing that on the earth. It's doing those mitzvot on the earth, in the living. They're not a normal people. And I think inherently we know this as people out in the nations. There's something different, something you might say odd. And the reason I titled this The Fear of the Jewish People is because that's really what it's all about. In the end, I think, on one extreme, it's the intolerance. Well, let's put it to you this way. It's, fear brings, contempt and loathing. Fear brings, what is that? Yoda says, Lucas was so good with religion. It was fear leads to anger, anger leads to hate, hate leads to suffering. And if you ever listen to a true anti-Semite, when I say true, I mean someone who's thought about it for a long time and isn't joining a club on campus. Okay, I'm talking about like the people who really do believe this. They are these terrible things about the Jewish people. It's done out of pure fear. It's not like I hate them because they have yarmulkes, or I hate them because they pray in Hebrew. No, this is not what people care about. They fear the Jewish people taking over the world. They fear the Jewish people being the worst of the worst. and they live in fear of them.
Paranoia at its best.
Yeah, that's a good word. That's a good word right there, because so many are. I mean, Muslims are scared shitless of them.
They should be too.
Well, things go round and round. They do.
Same goes for the Christians.
I really think that because the Jews are, I mean, a wise person once said to me that it was the fact that that the Jewish people aren't being Jewish. You know what I mean? They're not Jewy. They're secular, or they're oh heck, I got one of these right here. I've been saving this. Here we go. There's your meme. Oh, nope. Sorry, wrong one. We got that already. Let's get that out of here.
Yes,
All right, here's a silly meme right here from Low Effort Zionist Memes, which has got a lot of funny stuff. If you can ever catch them, like on Twitter. Here it is. Anti-Zionist Jews normally, and then anti-Zionist Jews at an anti-Israeli event. That should tell you something right there. One, about what happens when you're not Jewy. Two, that's what people see. I brought up this this so-called rabbi out in California a few weeks back, and the things he does in the name of Judaism, in the name of the Jewish people, in the name of our God, is only going to turn people away from Torah and the Jewish people. Why? They fear people like that. They fear pro-trans and pro-child gay Jews. Now, if you already think the Jews you're like mind control, comic book, just kind of overlooking everything and controlling, and if they really are that, and they really do have all the money, and they start all the wars in these people's minds, and then they see things like this, you're only confirming bad stuff. But really, the true fear is that you don't know who they are or what they are.
That's a good point. That's a good point.
I mean, no one knows.
Right.
You say Judaism, and they're probably going to think of some, South American, some kind of tribal, mystical church or something. People don't think Jew.
No, more like UFO, alien.
Yeah, right. Oh, what's his name? David Icke. Is that his name, or David Icke? He said the Jews were lizards zipped up in skin suits, human skin suits. They're not real. They're not actually human.
Wow. I used to say that about Queen Elizabeth and all of them too, and all the royalty and all the heads of state.
Oh, wow.
They're lizard people. Yep.
Lizard.
Yeah. No, exactly. That's yeah.
Yeah. Well, they are.
There was this lovely show back in the 80s, I think it was, called V.
Yes.
That was it really was a cool show, but that's basically what they're,
Yeah.
That's something you could liken it to, which is not true.
No, it's not true. It's that series scared the living tar out of me as a kid. That was quite an event.
Oh yeah, you would have been a kid, yeah.
Yeah, it was spooky and very well done. It holds up today.
Yes, it does.
For Visitor.
That
was like a 4-night miniseries. Well, if the Jews aren't being Jews and bringing Torah to the world, or if the news just hasn't gotten out there yet, then people are going to fear. So one of the reasons why we're here, a couple of non-Jewish schmoes and schmoetzes hanging out here on the web every Thursday, is to talk Torah and invite you to join us. I haven't put the link out there. My goodness. Here we go. Let's put the join link in the chat. We'll get that over there. There you go. So
there you go.
In the chat. That's the way it's supposed to be. And if you're watching on X, I'm going to post that as a link in the comments of the video right now. And for those who do view on X, thank you so much. I appreciate it. I get a few folks over there and a few other followers to. I don't do a whole lot with it. Sometimes I'll go on a meme fest and just post a bunch of stuff. But I don't do it. I'm not active on there as much as some people. I'm not a news guy. I read it more than I use it. But
You
anyway, you'll
posted it
see
to
there.
YouTube.
That's good. True. Yeah, it's on. Yeah, we're on
Yeah.
YouTube as well. YouTube
Yep.
X and on, of course, where you're watching now would be Rumble. And if you're not watching on Rumble, you should. Tim Pool just joined Rumble Premium. And that's something I was wondering when it was going to happen. I think he was probably going to talk to the Daily Wire for a while, and he did talk to. I know he was hanging out with the Blaze Media, but he's over here on Rumble now. So this is the place to be for free speech, right? Yeah. And this is where we're going to be every Thursday. So hit that link in the chat and come visit. So anyway, once you start to read the Torah, not the whole Bible, just start with the Torah.
With commentary preferred.
With commentary, preferably with a rabbi. Spend a couple years with a rabbi, at least.
It will blow your mind.
And yeah, it will. It'll improve your life and or give you a chance for improvement. How's that? It didn't just instantly improve me. I had to work at it. Still got to work at it. So anyway, let's talk Parsha.
All right.
Parsha Jethro. It's Yisro. Yitro. Depends on who it is, but Yisro is Jethro. Jethro. Probably one of the coolest, certainly the coolest non-Jew in Torah. Can I get an amen on that one from anybody out there? Jethro,
Yay.
the coolest dude, because he chose. Moses came to him, sure, and Moses' father-in-law, but he was known as a little, a bee who would go to different flowers and pollinate, take different, but and then he finally, I guess he didn't settle on the God of Israel, but he finally came to. Just in the first, it's chapter 18 in Exodus is where it starts here. And I'm just going to see Jethro, Moses' father-in-law. That's how he's described in verse 1. They bring it up again, verse 2. So Jethro, Moses' father-in-law, and then verse 5, Jethro, Moses' father-in-law.
All right.
Verse 6, he sent word to Moses, I, your father-in-law Jethro, am on my way to you. Moses went out to greet his father-in-law. Moses told his father-in-law everything. And finally,
yeah,
in
it's down there in 12 too. Down there in 12 as well.
Yep.
And in 14.
14, Moses' father-in-law. 15. Yep. It's Moses' father-in-law said, didn't even mention his name this time. In 17. So you're getting what is God telling us with this? What are we getting from this? This is in fact, I haven't even looked at Rashi's commentary on this. I want to see if
well, okay, what did you want on Rashi's commentary?
Just what he might have said, why father-in-law was said so much. It's that the expression indicates that Jethro took pride in Moses, saying, I am the father-in-law of the king. Where previously is described the greatness of his father-in-law, it says he returned to Jethro, his father-in-law. So
okay, underneath one, in the commentary, it says that he was known by seven different names. If you go down a little farther, this is Moses' father. This expression indicates that Jethro took pride in Moses, saying, I am the father-in-law of the king. Whereas previously Moses had ascribed his greatness to his father-in-law, as it says, he returned to Jethro, his father-in-law. So that's what it says there. And you want me to go ahead and name the names of Jethro?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. He was called by 7 different names. Ruel, Jethro, Kovav, Kevler, and Kaini, and Putil. Jethro, because he added something to a section of the Torah you must discern. Jethro, because he became a convert and observed the commandments. A letter was added to his previous name. Kovav, because he held the Torah dear. And Kovav is Jethro, for it says, from the descendants of Kovav, father-in-law of Moses. But some say that Reuel was really the father of Jethro, and that which it says they came to Reuel their father is to be understood in terms of the fact that the small children also called their grandfather father. So it is stated in Sifri. So there's that.
That's interesting.
Yep. And that's at number 1. Yeah, the commentary, you really need the commentary to go along with this.
The link we give you each week, which is in the description, I'm gonna post your
It's in
your
the
link,
side chat, I
Rosalie.
think.
Yeah, here in the
Yeah,
side chat. Until we go live, it only posts private. I've noticed here on Rumble Studio.
Yeah.
So now I can make it public, but there's a link, and it'll show Rashi's commentary. Hide or show Rashi's commentary at the top of the text, and hitting that button is what opens up to. And Rashi's probably the most well-liked commenter today. He's like the go-to. So it's a great place to start. There's so much more out of this, so much more in the text.
It's kind of like puzzle pieces being solved. It's like it's like jigsaw puzzle and you can't find the missing pieces. This kind of fills in the missing pieces.
So it's really interesting how the sages took to people who come to Torah for the sake of God. Because this week's Parsha is named after a non-Jew who attaches to the Jewish people. He was already attached through Moses. But this is the Parsha in which the 10 Commandments are given, or the 10 statements are spoken. I think that's interesting. They could have called the portion Moses. They could, but no, they call it. It's in a Parsha named after or they named the portion after a non-Jew in the Torah. Also, I like that they say father-in-law, and this kind of gives this year when I'm reading it, this system of governance that Moses suggests to, or that Jethro suggests to Moses. Let's see. Let me. Okay. This is going to be on the second part of the portion, chapter 18, verse 13. It was on the following day that Moses sat to judge the people. The people stood around Moses from morning to nightfall. Judging is when people they will bring a dispute, they'll bring a question. How are we to do this? I could have sworn this, this fell on my property, or the tree was on my property, or you have a dispute. Moses would judge. That's what it means by that. It's not just like he's pointing the finger and I'm judging all you little people. Not like that. No, it's very reasonable. Judaism's for the mind. Judaism's for the brain. It's good for the heart. It's good for digestion. It's good for but it really, truly, this is the law. The law is in here.
The commentary is really good too.
Yeah.
On 13.
All right.
It was on the following day. It was the day after Yom Kippur, so it is stated in this Sifri. What then is meant by the following day? It refers to the day after Moses descended Mount Sinai. Now, you must admit that it is impossible to say that it was some other day prior to the day after Yom Kippur. For before giving of the Torah, it would have been impossible for Moses to say, and I make known God's rules and teachings. And from when the Torah was given on 6 Sivan until Yom Kippur, Moses never sat and judged the people. For on 17 Tammuz, he first descended the mountain after being there for 40 days following the 6th of Sivan and broke the tablets. And on the next day, he ascended the mountain early in the morning, stayed there for 80 days, and descended on Yom Kippur. This section then is written here, not in chronological order, for this section was not said until the second year. Even according to the one who says Jethro came before giving of the Torah, his being sent off to his own land was not until the second year. For here it says Moses sent off his father-in-law. And we find in the account of Israel's journey under their banners that Moses said to Jethro, "We are traveling to a place. Please do not leave us." And if this return of Jethro to his land mentioned here was before the giving of the Torah, then from when Moses let him go and he departed, where do we find that he came back? And if you say the account does not speak of Jethro, but of Kovav, and he was Jethro's son, I answer that Kovav and Jethro are one and the same person, for it is written, from the descendants of Kovav, father-in-law of Moses. So there you go. And Yom Kippur, everybody knows that's when the judgments start.
No, yeah, now that's there you go. That's good.
Yeah.
Ooh, let me open that up and see. Yeah, that's a heck of a chunk of commentary. See why you read commentary? That's one verse.
Yeah. That's just one. That's just one. It was the following day that Moses sat to judge people. It was on the following day. So there you go.
Yeah, Torah is not in chronological order. It's not written in chronological order.
No, it's not.
Yeah, and that's something we have to remember. Moses' father-in-law saw all that was doing with the people. He said, "What is this thing that you are doing to the people? Why are you alone seated, while all the people stand around you from morning to nightfall?" Moses replied to his father-in-law, "It is because the people came to me to seek instruction from God. Whenever one of them has a legal matter, he comes to me, and I judge between a man and his fellow, and I make known God's rules and teachings." Moses' father-in-law said to him, "What you are doing is not good. You will surely wear yourself out, you yourself as well as the entire people that is with you, for this matter is too weighty for you. You will not be able to do it alone. Therefore, listen to me. I will give you advice, and if God agrees with you, you will be the people's representative before God, and you convey the cases to God. You will caution the people regarding the rules of the teachings and inform them of the path they should follow and the deeds that they should do. You must discern from all the people men who are well established, God-fearing, men of integrity, who hate money. Appoint these individuals over the people as leaders of thousands, leaders of hundreds, leaders of 50s, and leaders of 10s. Basically, what I'm trying to get at here is this is the system that remains. If it were a true Torah-based society, you would have one Torah cop for every 10 people. And Chabad calls them leaders, and I'm pretty sure it's in the text as well.
It says men of truth. These are trustworthy men who have sufficient integrity that their promises can be relied on, as a result of which their words will be respected.
Men who hate money. Where's that at? Oh, wait a minute. I.e. rich men who therefore do not need to flatter or show favoritism to anyone. Men of ability, but then it says who hate money, i.e. who hate even their own money when it involves a lawsuit, similar to that which we learn. Any judge from whom money must be taken through a lawsuit is not a judge. Ooh, I'm going to read that again. Any judge from whom money must be taken through a lawsuit is not a judge. In other words, like the judge gets a cut.
Could be.
From whom money must be taken is not a judge. Wow.
Only when it involves a lawsuit. That's what that is there. But the thing is that it goes leader 1,000. These amounted to 600 leaders for 600,000 adult male Israelites. Leaders of hundreds, these were 6,000. Leaders of 50, these were 12,000. And leaders of 10, these were 60,000. So it's like almost like the police force or, something like that.
See, they will judge the people at all times. They will bring every major case to you, and they will judge every minor case themselves to ease your burden by sharing it with you. And that's exactly what happened. He gave good advice, very good. He was a priest. See, Moshe was he's not a priest. Okay, he doesn't speak well. He has Aaron speak for him. Jethro was a high priest of Midian. They translate it ruler sometimes or leader here, but that's what he was. He was high priest of Midian. He ministered to his people. Not always the right God, whatever, but he knew what things were, and I think that's one of the reasons why we have the father-in-law mentioned so many times. Is to show the integrity of he and Moses and their relationship. Moses heeded the voice of his father-in-law and did all that he said.
Well, he was a very knowledgeable person in a lot of things. I mean, if you're one of Pharaoh's number 3 people, which he was at one point in time in his life, you need to be knowledgeable about a lot of things.
Mm-hmm. We remember when we were reading the article on the staff of Moses, and that Jethro actually it was confiscated by Pharaoh and the Egyptians during the whole Holocaust, if you will, which is what it was. The killing of the firstborn. They took a lot of the Jews' stuff because they were slaves. One of the things they took was the staff of it was the staff that Moses would use, but it was carried by the patriarchs. It's been said that it went from Adam to Noah, and then to Abraham via Shem. So it was carried through the times, and it was Jethro who grabbed that and ran from Egypt. And
when he was done with Pharaoh, that's right.
Yeah, and he threw it in the ground, and no man could pick it up until Moses came and picked it up and lifted it up out of the ground. Where do you think they got the King Arthur bit from?
There you go. The sword and the stone, yeah.
Torah. The griffin is mentioned, is it not? Look at there. Chapter 19, Moses ascended Mount Sinai to God. God called out to him from the mountain and said, "You must say as follows to the house of Jacob and relate to the Israelites. You have seen what I did to the Egyptians. I carried you on the wings of griffin vultures and brought you to me."
And we do have commentary on that. Would you like me to read that?
Yeah, I would.
On the wings of griffin vultures, i.e., like a griffin vulture who carries its young upon its wings. For all other birds place their young between their feet because they are afraid of another bird might fly above them, but the griffin vulture is afraid only that man may perhaps aim an arrow at it, but not at any other bird, because no other bird flies above it. It therefore places its young upon its wings, saying, "Better that the arrow enter me than my young." God said, "I too did so." The angel of God moved, and it came between the Egyptian camp and the Israelite camp. And the Egyptians were firing arrows and stone missiles, but the cloud absorbed them. There you go.
That's awesome.
Yep.
You will be unto me a kingdom of nobles and a holy nation. And this is about you. They came to the mountain of God. Wash your clothes. You can't be with a woman, or man and woman cannot be together, if you will. Don't go near the mountain. Don't even reach out to touch the mountain.
Don't let your animals go to the mountain.
Yeah, no, yeah, whether animal or man, if he crosses the boundary around the mountain, he will not be allowed to live. When the ram's horn sounds a long blast, they may ascend the mountain. And of course, we know what happens when the horn blast came. It's make it stop, make it stop.
Uh-huh.
When none of the people keep yourself readiness for a 3-day period, do not approach a woman, i.e., engage in marital relations. On the third day, as morning dawned, there was thunder and lightning and a heavy cloud on the mountain. There was an extremely loud blast of a shofar, and all the people in the camp trembled. Shofar is the horn, the ram's horn that they blow. Mm-hmm. That's the sound that they liken it to. And it was, yeah, I think God, or Moses asked God to give me, let me know the boundary so we don't. He asked God for a boundary, and okay, we'll move along from that. Wash out your clothes. Okay. Moses led the people out of the camp toward the divine presence, and they took their places at the foot of the mountain. The whole of Mount Sinai was smoking, because God had descended upon it in fire. Its smoke rose up like the smoke of a lime kiln, and the entire mountain quaked violently. The sound of the shofar grew increasingly louder. When Moses spoke, God responded to the weakness of his mortal voice by amplifying his voice.
Oh, where is that? Ah, there you are. Okay, I found it.
The weakness of his mortal voice by amplifying his voice. That's how the people heard.
Yep.
Okay, God ascends the mountain. God summoned Moses to the peak of the mountain. Moses ascended. God said to Moses, go down, warn the people not to break the ranks and move toward God to gaze better upon me, lest many of them perished. The priests who came near to God must also be ready themselves, lest God cause a breach among them by killing those who venture too close. Here it is. Moses replied to God, the people cannot ascend Mount Sinai, for you have warned us, saying, make a boundary around the mountain and sanctify it. God said to him, go, descend. Then you must ascend, Aaron with you. The priests and the people must not break their ranks to ascend to God, lest he cause the Lord a breach among them. Okay. God descended upon Mount Sinai. Commentary. It is possible that he actually is it possible that God actually descended upon it? Scripture therefore states elsewhere that I spoke with you from heaven. However, the intent here is to teach us that God lowered the upper and lower heavens and spread them out above the mountain like a blanket over a bed, and the throne of glory descended upon them. I've seen translations when they later on that when they all feast, they have a big feast in the presence of the presence of God. That's my point. Is that some translations of Christian ones will say they gazed upon the form of the Lord. There was no form. I don't even think that's the word in Hebrew either. You weren't gazing on God itself, but on the presence. And it also said that because here Moses went down to the people and conveyed this instruction to them. God then spoke all these words. And here begins the commandments. I'm going to go through the commandments because chapter 20. Verse 2, I am God, your God, who brought you out of Egypt, out of the house of slaves. You must not possess any idols of other people's deities as long as I exist. You must not make yourself a sculptured image or any other type of likeness of anything that is in heaven above, on the earth below, or in the water lower than the earth. You must neither prostrate yourself before them nor worship them, for I, God, your God, am a jealous God in this regard. For those who hate me and worship idols, I am a God who remembers this premeditated sins of the fathers, adding their demerits to those of their descendants up to the third and fourth generation. But in contrast, I am a God who shows kindness for all at least 2,000 generations to the descendants of those who love me and those who observe my commandments. You must not swear by the name of God, your God, in vain, for God will not absolve anyone who swears by his name in vain. Remember the Sabbath day, keep it holy. 6 days you must labor and do all your work. The seventh day is a Sabbath dedicated to God, your God. You must not do any work, neither you nor your son, your daughter, your bondman, your bondwoman, your animal, or the ger toshav, which is often called a resident alien, who is permitted to live within your gates. For 6 days God made heaven and earth, made heaven, the earth, and the sea, and all that is within them, and he rested on the seventh day. God therefore blessed the Sabbath day and sanctified it. Honor your father and mother, so that your days be lengthened in the land that God, your God, is giving you. My goodness, my nose is itchy. You must not murder. You must not commit adultery. You must not steal, including kidnapping. The word actually includes kidnapping. You must not bear false witness against your fellow. You must not desire your fellow's house. You must not desire your fellow's wife, bondman, bondwoman, work bull, donkey, or anything else belonging to your fellow. All the people witnessed God's voice at the flames and the blast of the shofar and the mountain smoking. The people saw God's voices and shuddered and stood at a distance. All the people witnessed God.
This is interesting here. The commentary on that, on 15.
Yes.
It said, all the people witnessed. This teaches us that there was not even one blind person among them. And how do I know there was no dumb person among them? The Torah teaches us by saying all the people responded. And how do you know that there was no deaf person among them? The Torah teaches us by saying, we will do and we will hear. There you go.
All the people witnessed God's voices. And then it says the people saw God's voices and shuddered. And that's the word. They saw the word of God as it was spoken. That's heavy.
Well, this is where I like to bring up, because of this right here. Rabbi Reuven has a video that kind of sort of explains this. And I can't remember what it is. I've mentioned it several times before. And I think you've seen it, to where they have an oscilloscope. They're going through the alphabets of every known language except for the Jewish one. And the one lone Jew, and the guy, well, did you do the Jewish one? They did the Jewish alphabet. And as they spoke it, you could see on the oscilloscope the letters in their correct form. So, in the correct form. So it's like, okay, that right there too shows that they could see it. But was the fact that it was so loud, did it impress upon their forehead, inside of their frontal lobe? As he was speaking it, did they see the letters inside their brain? If you get around a lot of loud noise and all this, your head starts thumping and all this.
Mm-hmm.
And I can see that kind of, sort of. And I was just wondering, that I thought that was pretty cool. That was a little thing that I kind of I've been trying. I've wrapped my head around it, and that's the best that I could do.
Imagine no technology and still seeing it. I
Yeah,
mean,
well, like I said, the oscilloscopes. He did the alphabet, and as he said the alphabet, the letter actually formed on the oscilloscope. So that right there tells you something about the divine making of the universe. It's like if you can speak the letters of the Jewish alphabet and you can actually see them on an oscilloscope, that tells you something right there.
we know sound has form. Look up cymatics, cymatics, cymatics. We know that now, and just knowing this right here, I'm gonna supplement that and add to it that it's I mean, there's a theory, but that all languages come from Judaism, come from Hebrew, ancient Hebrew. I mean, it's interesting that the old Viking runes look so much like the Paleo Hebrew
Yes.
alphabet, and we can find all of those, all 22 letters in the Japanese language,
Yes.
all the consonants, and there's same sounds too. It's also said this is the language that survived Babel, that Hebrew stayed Hebrew, and that this was the voice of Adam, and the voice in which God uses to utter the universe into existence.
Yes.
So it's like seeing your own DNA right in
Wow.
front of you.
Exactly.
So anyway, the people said to Moses, "From now on, you speak to us, and we will hear you, God, and we will hear God's words from your mouth. But let God not speak with us directly, lest we die." And yeah, apparently people were dying, and God was resurrecting them as they were dying because they couldn't handle His presence.
Right.
Moses could, and there are others who could as well, but not especially slaves. These are people who've been working in the dirt and living on nothing and living in fear. And here's going to 17. Moses said to the people, "Do not be afraid, for God has come in order to raise you up, and in order that you be imbued with the awe of him, so that you not sin." The people stood at a distance while Moses drew near the thick cloud where God was present. God said to Moses, "This is what you must tell the Israelites. You have seen that I spoke with you from heaven." There's a difference. This is Rashi's commentary on 19 there. You have seen. There's a difference between something a person himself sees and what others relate to him. For regarding something others relate to him, his heart may sometimes waver, preventing him from believing it. But it's hard when the whole nation hears it.
Yes. And let us be clear about the whole nation. We're talking about like 6 million people here.
3. Pretty sure it was 3.
Somewhere around there.
It's a big nation.
Yeah. That's just the men. That's not including the wives and the kids.
Yeah, or the old folk.
Yes. So, like I said, by the time you get that, or the non-Jews who were there as well.
I just think it's interesting that the Parsha ends about them making an altar. This is what you must tell the Israelites, and this is right after the 10. You must not make a physical representation of the angels that you saw with me in heaven. If you make the 2 gold cherubs of the tabernacle out of silver, I will consider them idols of silver. If you make them more than 2, I will consider the additional ones idols of gold. You must not make for yourselves cherub figurines for your houses of prayer or study. You must make an altar for me upon the earth, Next to it, you must sacrifice your ascent offerings and your peace offerings from your flocks and your cattle. Wherever I allow my name to be mentioned, I will come to you and bless you. When you make me an altar out of stones, you must not build it with hewn stones, for if you lift your sword over a stone intended for the altar to cut it, you will profane it. You must not ascend my altar on steps, so that your nakedness will not be exposed over it. He's given people something right there. It's just right after the 10 Commandments was this. So tune in next week for another exciting Parsha.
Well, it's kind of cool what it says here in 22. Okay. Furthermore, an altar makes peace between Israel and the Father in heaven, and thereupon something that cuts and destroys it should not come upon it. The reason is given that we infer from it a fattori with the following conclusion. Even stones that do not see, hear, or speak simply because they promote peace, the Torah said about them, you must not wield any iron tool upon them. He who reconciles a man and his wife, a family or another, or a man and his fellow, all the more is certain that no misfortune will befall him.
Huh.
And they got to be made out of boulders.
Yeah. Can't be used for anything else.
Correct. Yep, whole. It says whole, out of whole boulders. 14, and that would be Deuteronomy 27:6. That's where that states that.
Well, we're getting up on the top of the hour. We want to do a Parsha or a Haftorah?
Sure.
Okay. Today's Haftorah is Isaiah chapter 6, verse 1. We're going to read up to 13. For those of you tuning in for the first time and unfamiliar, the Haftorah is a section of the Hebrew Bible directly relating to the portion of the Torah that is not in the Torah itself. Right now, we're in Isaiah. Love me some Isaiah. And you know what? Just in case, because I know I flubbed up a couple words in the last one. I have to start taking these to work.
Yeah.
Just start looking at a ticket up close. I can't do it anymore.
Right.
In the year of the death of King Uzziah, I saw the Lord sitting on a high and exalted throne, and his lower extremity filled the temple. Sepharim stood above him, 6 wings to each one. With 2 he would cover his face, and with 2 he would cover his feet, and with 2 he would fly. And one called the other and said, Holy, holy, holy is the Lord of hosts. The whole earth is full of his glory. The doorposts quaked from the voice of him who called, and the house became filled with smoke. And I said, Woe is me, for I am lost. For I am a man of unclean lips, and amidst a people of unclean lips I dwell. For the King, the Lord of hosts, have my eyes seen. And one of the Sepharim flew to me, and in his hand was a glowing coal. With tongs he had taken it from upon the altar. And he caused it to touch my mouth. And he said, Behold, this has touched your lips, and your iniquity shall be removed, and your sin shall be atoned for. And I heard a voice of the Lord saying, Whom shall I send, and whom will go for us? And I said, Here I am, send me. And he said, God said, Go and say to this people, Indeed you hear, but you do not understand. Indeed you see, but you do not know. This people's heart is becoming fat, and his ears are becoming heavy, and his eyes are becoming sealed, lest he see with his eyes, and hear with his ears, and his heart understand, and he repent and be healed. And I said, Until when, O Lord? And he said, Until cities be desolate, without inhabitant, and houses without people, and the ground lies waste and desolate. And the Lord removes the people far away, and the deserted places be many in the midst of the land. And when there is yet a tenth of it, it will again be purged, like the terebinth and like the oak, which in the fall have but a trunk. Excuse me, the holy seed is its trunk. So I think this is what separates God, or at least the Jewish God, from anything really, is the need to understand, see, hear, understand, and repent. It's about being a better, more refined person. We can do all the stuff we want about God, but really that's what it's on. Ultimately, it's going to get down. Of course, we speak nationally when we read Torah most of the time, but on an individual basis, that's what it's about. Repent, and you're like, oh, repent, and the sin, and there's so much fire and brimstone in the minds of. It's still in my head sometimes. I was raised in this, eternal damnation, the idea of eternal punishment that you can never, from which you can never escape, unless you eat the flesh and blood of a man god. There's no escape. And like you said, I'm a man of unclean lips in a country of people with unclean lips, and yet he could be repented. He could be atoned for.
Oh, this is good. Verse 7, and it cut when he took the coal, and it caused it to touch my mouth, and he said, Behold, this has touched your lip, for the iniquity shall be removed, your sins shall be atoned for. This means this is to cause pain, to atone for your iniquity, that you degraded Israel. And his strength was great, for the angel was afraid to take it without tongs, yet he caused it to touch the prophet's lips, and he, the prophet, was not injured. This is found in Tehumah. This is the meaning of the scripture that states in Joel 2:11, for his camp is very great. These are the angels, and the stronger than they are those who fulfill his words. These are the prophets, Tanhuma. Jonathan renders, and in his hand was a glowing coal, to mean, and in his mouth was speech. The expression means a thing refined in the mouth and with the tongue. From upon the altar he receives a speech from the mouth of the Holy One, blessed be he, and from his throne in heaven, which was direct opposite at the altar of the temple. Now, we've been taught that when Moses was a baby, that was Jethro and Balaam and Job were there, and Balaam wanted Moses to die because he knew it was special. And remember, they said that they had something for him or for money, and Moses went for the one, but the angel came and touched Moses' mouth with a coal. So right then and there, Moses had his sins forgiven, but he lost his speech until he needed to have it for God, so when God could talk to him. I thought that was a pretty good little revelation right there.
That is. Yeah, I knew we talked about this, and you brought that up. That's right. That's right.
Yep. So I thought that was a pretty cool, even as a baby, like I said, Balaam wanted to kill him, and they wanted to see which he would pick, with the money or something else. I can't remember what it was. And he started going for something of Pharaoh's. So Balaam knew that he would die, but the angel had a coal and put it to his mouth, or put it to his hands, one way or another. So that was pretty interesting.
That is. Well, that's just about going to do it for this week's Nexus. Thank you for tuning in, and thank you for tuning in after we're live too. But every Thursday night, 8 p.m. Central, come on by. If you got a question, comment, compliment, complaint, suggestion, you want to just talk Torah, you want to talk religion, even we can do that, and we would love to have you. Check out the previous shows on YouTube, going back over 10 years now. I guess John's not going to be able to stop by tonight. I'll have to coax him somehow. I gotta find the right coaxing to get him in here. I missed that Yankee. Oh, I think did I skip one? Yeah, I did skip a meme. Here's another meme. I'm going to leave you with a good meme right here. Yeah, that old Justin Trudeau. He's gone. Bye bye. He's out of here. I'm glad to see it. And I'll leave you with one more that was just too good for words. All right, folks, we're going to see you next week here, God willing, inshallah, as they say. Thank you so much for tuning in, Rosalie. Thank you. We'll see you all on the flip side next week. We're here.
Shabbat shalom, y'all.
Shabbat shalom, exactly, and a happy weekend to all. We'll see you on the flip side.